People deluded. Now, obviously, there's a bit of a centre-half crisis at Arsenal at the moment in time. I have sympathy for my club, obviously, and I have sympathy for Emery because no one can. If you're a manager, you must be hard on your luck, man. You can't mitigate for any of these injuries. Who knew playing Holding was going to result in him getting injured at United away? Who knew Socrates was going to jump for a header and catch his boot in the turf? It looked like causing him to twist his knee. Who knew Koscielny accidentally got into a kerfuffle with Lukaku? Obviously dislocated his jaw or whatever's done to his jaw. You don't know these things are going to happen, people. You can't. But by the same logic, you have to be pessimistic as a football manager. If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. I should have planned to say that properly. But yeah, when you read between the lines, people, you have to wonder some of these decisions, because if you look at it, you lot will see in me. I'm not better than you. I'm not saying I am. I'm a football fan. He's got way more knowledge than me. But we all have football opinions. I said we need a top-class centre-half. Now, Socrates has been all right, but we all know he isn't that. I said we even need two centre-halves, and you're seeing it now. Obviously, at the start of the season, it looked great on the topic of depth, because we need to remember Holding wasn't injured. Obviously, you had Koscielny to come back. You still had Mustafi. Socrates came into the side. Mavropanos was about as well. In hindsight, I'm sure the club must have known about his fitness, because I'm so sure since the early pre-season it's been touch and go in regards to his fitness after the tour, so they must have known in regards to his groin, because they kept pushing it back. So the club must have known there's an underlying issue there. And we had Koscielny to come back. You obviously had Monreal there as well. So that's 4, 5, 6 names to cover. All right, cool, that looks like depth. But if I said we need another centre-half, people, I've said we need two centre-halves. Essentially, we'll take one, which we did, but we need two centre-halves. Koscielny isn't back from his injury. Mustafi is a bit Mustafi-like. Holding is cool, but injuries happen in football. And in an Arsenal case, if he really did his research and all this analysis stuff, he would know that when these injuries happen with Arsenal, it piles up, sort of thing. We got lucky because we avoided the horrible November, but it seems like January is our new November right now for people dropping like flies in regards to the fitness. And even if you look at the links in the summer, we were linked to Vida. Again, Chambers, whether I believe in Chambers or not, or you believe in Chambers, just a matter of depth. Yes, it's good for him to go out on loan and ultimately play football, and it increases his potential or whatever as a professional footballer, and gets him stronger and more experienced. But from an Arsenal's case, clearly we knew we needed a centre-half. We knew we needed it, because why did we try and get Vida? I thought it was just links. You saw David Ornstein talking about it. So we knew we needed a centre-half. We knew we was playing a dangerous game. We knew we was relying on a lot. So, again, can I really have sympathy? Because we knew this. The club obviously did Emery dirty, but he must have known with Mavropanos' injury, he must have known it was going to be hard to bring a centre-half with Vida's failed pursuit. Obviously, Chambers was loaned out. I'm mentioning Chambers on the matter of depth, because Chambers would be about right now, people. Yes, Mavropanos is back from his injury and things, but we're really in some issues if someone else now gets injured, because Mavropanos is back. Hopefully he starts against Cardiff. I believe in him. Obviously, regardless of your opinions on Mustafi is there. Monreal can be used at a push. You've got guys like Peglero. So I do think Koscielny, funny enough, will be available for Cardiff, because I'm so sure he could play with the dislocated jaw or whatever, just in case of painkillers. But I don't know, innit, people? And on the basis of me, admittedly, as that just come out my mouth, I am thinking that's a bit stupid, DG. I don't think he can. You see where I'm going, people? Koscielny, whether Koscielny's fit or not, dangerous game, relying on him. Like you saw, he wasn't necessarily the worst defender against United, but evidently he's not the Koscielny he once was. You could probably get away with him in the occasional cup game and things like that, or against low-level Premier League opposition. But games against big, strong athleticism, you saw it. Lukaku is not the quickest. He obviously is a very powerful runner when he gets going, but he's not the quickest. He's stressed out Koscielny whenever Koscielny was dragged into them channels. So we failed to plan. So we planned to fail. So really and truly, can I really have sympathy? I can have sympathy with the club and the fans, of course, but Unai Emery clearly knew the makeup. The club, away from Unai Emery, the club clearly knew Wagwan and that we needed a centre-half, because you saw us linked with a couple. And now we're in this situation. Again, you plan to fail. You fail to plan, you plan to fail. It really doesn't make any sense. And we're relying on a lot now, because currently like I just said, Mavropanos, Mustafi, Monreal, there are fit centre-halves, really and truly, people. Who else has these injuries? I'm sure Chelsea can call upon all their centre-halves, even the ones that are frustrated about not playing. United can do the same. And you know what? United's a bit of a mad one in regards to defenders because their fans don't even rate their defenders. But they've got people available. But you can't even get a Premier League game, let alone. Who else? Liverpool, obviously, Liverpool are out of push as well. But Liverpool got their options. Everybody's got depth. Not Liverpool. City got depth. Otamendi's vexed that he's not playing. Company's there as well with his own injury issues, admittedly. You've obviously got Stones, Laporte, and I'm sure I'm probably missing someone else out. You get the point. I'm not even talking about ability. It's the matter of depth. Like, it's the matter of depth. Obviously, you've obviously got Ben Schaefer within the academy and Peglo also as well, but Peglo also made his debut and stuff, and I think Unai Emery likes his fellow countrymen, but whether he rates him is another story. Schaefer clearly not rated by Unai Emery, at least to what I believe anyways, because he hasn't had a look in. I mean, he made a Europa League appearance and a cup competition appearance. Fair enough, they were 2 years apart or so under Wenger. Schaefer hasn't had a look in, especially a couple of them haven't had a look in, especially with the defensive issues. I know Medley's been bust and is favoured, but you get the point. That's another one, the tried and tested on Medley. I would love my young players for Arsenal to get minutes and stuff, but would it be the best environment for Medley to go and start against? I don't know. For God forbid, if a mad injury happens against Cardiff, then you're probably looking at him or a makeshift defence against Manchester City. It'll be good for him because these are the games he dreamed of. Obviously, it's sink or swim as a young player, but would that necessarily be the best environment for a player? No. Obviously, you've got things like you've got Lichtsteiner, you've got Jenkinson, you've got El Nene. We can chop and change and get away with certain things in the defence. So I could say you've got options, but again, that's just mix and match, people. And these sort of things come back to bite you when you just don't fix holes or leaks in a certain defence or in the house. Like, you can't take shortcuts. Sometimes taking shortcuts around things is actually a longer way to go. And Arsenal have seen that, probably off topic, but with the penny pinching and going around, I was about to say London, but going around Europe just scavenging for people's scraps. It helped us with Alexis and Ozil, but that's when we was shopping in Harrods for scraps. Now we're all outside chicken shops and that, trying to come back with some dead players like Gary Cahill, forgive me. I don't like to be personal about players, but guys like that, you're obviously seeing us linked with some mad wingers. I don't even want to go in depth. But yeah, people, that's all I wanted to say. So I'm going to get out of your hair. So on that note, people, DG, comment, subscribe, and do the rest.